Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Are they a threat to democracy? Yes. Are they going to take our rights away? Yes. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes. Are they going to endanger the planet by not dealing with climate change? Yes. They're going to do all that.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives. And unfortunately, there's plenty to go around.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
It's a danger. He's a genuine danger to American security.
What was outrageous 3 days ago is no longer on the front pages, even though it threatens the physical safety of so many people, particularly, as you point out, immigrants that he and Vance have decided to demonize. And I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is.
President Biden has been clear-eyed about the threat that the former president represents to our democracy.
Trump is an existential threat to our democracy.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the out of fascism looks like.
Comparing the tactics of Donald Trump to Mussolini and Hitler is a very legitimate thing.
We have a Timo Hitler in the White House right now.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
The thing we were all warning about for the last few years is not coming, it is here. We do now live in a country that has an authoritarian leader in charge. We have a consolidating dictatorship in our country.
And what we're seeing play out here is Donald Trump's promise to be a dictator on day one.
Trump has seemingly never met a dictator he doesn't like.
It's some real dictator type stuff.
The American people will have to decide that they are the last in the line of defense against Donald Trump and American fascists.
What is happening right now with this presidential attack on judges?
We live in a fascist dictatorship. That's what's happening right now. That's what it feels like. This is where we are.
You have to call a thing what it is and be definitional about it. The word MAGA doesn't mean anything other than if you go back, it's what fascists used to say.
I've been tweeting for over a year. Daily reminder, today's GOP is no longer a political movement. It is a fascist movement that has embraced white nationalism.
Here's the guy who said, stand back and stand by to the Proud Boys. Look at what he's doing last night, as you know, that more or less salutes that are either QAnon or almost look like Nazism.
What is the psychological impact hearing that day after day, hour after hour, endless attacks like this, dehumanizing the president and his supporters? At what point do they stop? I don't think they ever do, to be very honest. It's almost like an addiction for them. If Donald Trump cured cancer, I've said so many times, Stephen Miller, they would criticize him for that.
The Democrat Party, its pundits, its allies, the educators, for 10 years have waged a campaign of eliminationist rhetoric against President Trump, against Republicans, against MAGA, against Trump officials. It has been willful and deliberate, Sean. The rhetoric that you played, the messages that you played in that clip are the same exact rhetoric and messages that are used by the assassins, that are used by the two assassins who tried to kill Donald Trump, that are used by the assassin who claimed the life of my friend, an American hero, Charlie Kirk. This is willful and deliberate radicalization. They know what they're doing. Our universities, in many cases, have become incubators for extremism. They become the equivalent of madrasas for jihadism. There is a domestic terrorism movement in this country. When you see these organized doxing campaigns, where the left calls people enemies of the republic, calls them fascists, says they're Nazis, says they're evil, says they have to be removed, and then prints their addresses, what do you think they're trying to do? They are trying to inspire someone to murder them. That is their objective. That is their intent. And when you see online, Sean, as we've seen for the last few days, tape after tape after tape of federal workers, bureaucrats, staffers in the Pentagon, educators, professors, healthcare workers, nurses, celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk, these are radicalized people. There is a domestic terrorism movement in this country. And let me tell you something I've not shared with anybody, but the last message that Charlie Kirk gave to me before he joined his creator in heaven was he said that we have to dismantle and take on the radical left organizations in this country that are fomenting violence. That was the last message that he sent me before that assassin stole him from all of us. And we are going to do that under President Trump's leadership. I don't care how. It could be a RICO charge, a conspiracy charge, conspiracy against the United States, insurrection, but we are going to do what it takes to dismantle the organizations and the entities that are fomenting riots, that are doxing, that are trying to inspire terrorism, and that are committing acts of wanton violence. It has to stop. And my message is to all of the domestic terrorists in this country spreading this evil hate, you want us to live in fear? We will not live in fear, but you will live in exile. Because the power of law enforcement under President Trump's leadership will be used to find you, will be used to take away your money, take away your power, and if you've broken the law, to take away your freedom, Sean.